Hello everybody and welcome to Mondoid, your one-stop shop for all things Project Zomboid, and this week, Zombies in Love. We do have a relatively shorter blog this week, but there's still quite a bit to talk about and still quite a bit of stuff to get excited about. Some of the things in here I'm actually surprised that we're going to be talking about. I didn't expect it this blog, and I'm excited. So, let's get into it. First and foremost, they make a joke about Notch. We're just going to skip over that. So, Build 29, something that people have been waiting for a long time, is going to be on the I will back up my save file branch, which is the experimental branch for those who are unfamiliar. You can get into it, and there's a way you can get into that branch if you want to. You can actually go right here, click this button to figure out how to get into it. But note, it is the experimental branch more so than the beta branch or anything else. It is gonna be broken. You could lose save files, all kinds of stuff that can come with the experimental branch. But those who are excited and can't wait to get their hands on it and want to help test it out, Build 29 is on there. All kinds of good stuff coming here in Build 29. You can take a look by clicking this link here. As always, I do recommend you come to projectzomboid.com and read the blog in full for yourself. So the big thing that I want to talk about this week is actually the mythos, the lore of the Project Zomboid world. One of the main writers, Will Porter, who has been kind of away over the past few months working on the Alien Isolation story, he was a writer for Alien Isolation, is back for Project Zomboid. He is back to continue writing the lore of Project Zomboid. And they've been hard at work creating the lore. Now, one of the big things Indie Stone has said in the past is that they don't want the lore just be known. It's not going to be like a compendium or a website you can go to. The only thing they're going to do is kind of feed you information bit by bit. Some of it will be misinformation, some of it will be just completely wrong, other kinds will be right, and they'll kind of let you piece together what happened over the course of multiple playthroughs, and what you kind of figure out might completely be wrong, off the beaten path. The idea is they don't want you to know exactly how the zombie outbreak happens, but there is going to be proper lore. I actually like that a lot. It's kind of like, when I think about that, I actually kind of think about the Halo Bible that Bungie created before they made, the Halo games in full, where they created this big book of lore, and the player doesn't get all of the lore. They don't get it all. They get to piece together what they know and what's presented to the Master Chief. And in the way, this is what they're doing. They're creating a set rules, how the world came to be as it is. But they're not going to tell you. They're going to feed you information little by little, and not all of it's going to be right. And the way they're going to do it is via, I presume, newspapers, but outside of newspapers, radios and TV channels. And before the radios and TV channels come into the game, what they're going to do is they're going to make sure they have 5 of each. And they'll probably expand on that as you go. And the way they have it set, as you can read here, is every 12 in-game hours that pass, if you turn on the TV and you turn on the radio, they will have something new playing for you to listen to. And they already have, as we stand, 4 TV channels and 3 radio stations fully scripted out for you to listen to. And keep in mind, you might not even catch it all. You might just catch a bit and a piece here and there. And as time goes on, as electricity goes out or as the stations go out, you're going to either get nothing when you turn on the radio, or you'll get just static depending on what ends up happening. Again, that's the cool thing about having like a randomized power loss over the course of 0 to 2 months or whatever, is you might not get the information you want because the power might go out before you get it. And the different channels are going to be reporting different things. Some of them will be news channels. Some of them could be shopping channels. You just don't know what kind of information you're going to get. But adding that kind of adds this immersion factor into the game that's not necessarily missing. I think the game's very immersive as it is, but adds just more depth to the Zomboid world. And I'm excited to kind of integrate that into my character's, everyday thing, where he wakes up at 8 a.m., grabs breakfast, watches TV, or listens to the radio, get any news he can, then goes out, loots, kills zombies, come home, eats dinner, watches TV, watches the radio, goes to bed. And it does add that kind of realistic version to it. And of course, they're also going to have the occasional NPC dialogue, as they say here, that also tell parts of the story, as well as the Kate and Baldspot story, which will, of course, clearly play into the wider backstory of the world, as they say right here, which is obvious. It's all part of that lore. So plenty of different ways to get your Knox County event mythos, your Project Zomboid lore, and as more and more gets implemented, I'm excited to see what kind of theories people start coming up with, because this is the game that is ripe for conspiracy theories as to how the world came crumbling down. So that's like the thing I was the most excited to talk about. I'm a lore nerd. I love that stuff, and I'm excited to see it being brought into the game. Build 30, which is a good ways off, is actually starting to show some of its cards, I guess. One of the big things with Build 30 that they've been talking about is kind of a medical overhaul in a lot of different ways. For one, the kind of paper doll effect, or the paper doll that shows where you've been bit and stuff, is getting overhauled. Primarily, you're going to be looking at different models for male and female instead of the unisex one. But from what I can tell and the way they're talking about it, you're going to be looking with Build 30's medical overhaul a vastly deeper and scarier way to play the game. You're looking at things like broken fingers, broken arms, stuff that you weren't able to have before is going to be brought into the Build 30. I always kind of akin it to something along the lines of Dwarf Fortress, maybe not necessarily that deep, but having that kind of deep medical problems will make surviving so much harder. Again, one of the big things I always talk about when I play Project Zomboid is how late game tends to get a little bit easy. But with a deeper medical system, getting to the late game in general could be very, very tough. So I'm excited about that. And then, of course, all the other things they're working on: Steam integration, NPCs, musical developments, which is awesome, vehicles, new animations, all that good stuff. And then next Mondoid, we'll most likely be talking about Turbo Two Tone's fine work on getting the erosion mod into the main game. Really, really exciting. Also, in the Build 29, I think there's going to be some new audio stuff, some new FX, which I've heard firsthand, and let me tell you, they're awesome. And that's it. That's it for this Mondoid. A decent one. Not an incredibly long one, not an incredibly short one. I'm excited for the lore stuff. I hope you guys are excited as well. And I'll see you next Mondoid for some more Project Zomboid updates. So if you're one of the once-a-weekers, I'll see you next week. If you're a regular, I will see you later today. And as always, I'll see all of you next time. Bye-bye.